Hello. How are you today? I wonder how many of you guys thought something was wrong with the video. That'd be kind of funny. I'd like to see that if anybody watched it. If you did, hit the like button, not because I'm trying to get likes to get paid, but because I want to know if I messed with anybody. So anyway, this is in case you missed American history for November 10th. Today is a kind of dreary looking Tuesday outside. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to rain for a chunk of the day. And I think today is the last kind of decent temperature we're supposed to get for a while. But hey, man, that's Wisconsin. That's what you get when your parents drag you to a place like this. The more you know. Anyway, so if you're watching this, you missed class today. I hope everything's okay. Hope you're well. Hope those around you are well. If you're looking at this and you're like, I don't even know what he's talking about, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you might have. We're going to keep things pretty simple today. We're only really going to be looking at the goals slide and one other slide. And then I'm going to give you guys more work time to work on that Reconstruction overview, as I think I call it, the 6 questions that went along with the rest of the chapter. Trying to think if there's anything else big going on. Hey, man, make sure you're getting off to a good start in your classes. Oh, if you owe me Reconstruction introduction still, you're running out of time. So please make sure I get that ASAP. That's as soon as possible for those of you who don't speak weirdo. And yeah, there you go. So here's the deal. Today, what we're going to do by the end of class, we're going to talk a little bit about Abraham Lincoln today. And he's not around much during Reconstruction because, well, I think you guys know the reason. But he does, before his death, develop a plan for how to get the country back together. And also, we're going to look at that and the parts of that. And then we're also going to discuss a little bit about his death. Now, I'm going to say something before I click ahead, in case there's anybody out there in the YouTube world who's watching this and goes, well, that's not right. I need you to remember that there are 5,000 different stories for every really important historical event. I'm conveying some of the big highlights of the Lincoln story. So please don't slaughter me in the comments if you read something different or saw something different. Okay. And also, if you have more time after you're done watching this allotted for history, use that to work on the assignment that's due on Friday. Okay. So here we go. All right. So Lincoln obviously was the 16th president of the United States. He was the president throughout the entire Civil War. Some people will say that his election was one of the reasons why the Civil War happened. And so, as we're looking at this, kind of take in mind that Lincoln obviously played an important role in this. And his role throughout the Civil War was as commander-in-chief. That means he's in charge of the military, also in charge of the country. And, once the war ends, his role moving forward would have been to help the country, get back together. But obviously it didn't work out that way due to his assassination. But prior to the war ending, Lincoln was already developing a plan for how to put the country back together. Lincoln, although he probably was in a spot where he could have been really harsh with the punishment, Lincoln didn't really feel that was necessary. And so he developed a very lenient plan, a plan that wasn't going to make the divide between the North and the South worse than it already was. And so his plan was lenient. If you're unclear about the word lenient means like easy or like easy to deal with. You may have one person at your house whose punishments are more lenient than the other one. You come in an hour late from curfew, you would rather be punished by this person than that person. The person that you want to give you the punishment is the lenient one. And so Lincoln's plan had 3 parts, and we'll talk a lot about the plans for Reconstruction because one of our major questions was who's in charge. Lincoln's plan involved the people in the South taking an oath of loyalty. And now that oath of loyalty was going to be something like, you never take the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Or if you were in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, you said something like, on my honor, I will try. An oath of loyalty is just basically you saying that you're going to follow somebody, that you're going to do what they say. Now, Lincoln's oath of loyalty, I read this someplace once, and I find this hard to believe. Lincoln only expected like 10% of the people in the South to actually take the oath of loyalty. So if you think about that, there's like about 20 people in the American history class this quarter. So if you all, like, let's say we were all in the classroom and I'm teaching at the board, I'm writing on the board. I'm like, hey, I'm such a good teacher. I'm going to write at the board. And you guys are all mad at me. So everybody pulls out a gun and bang, everybody shoots at me. 20 of you, bullets. Well, you're a freshman, so you miss me. Bullets all around me. It's like a cartoon, like it's outlining me in bullets. And I go, guys, that's not okay in school. Go to the office. And Mr. Siverud kicks you all out of school. He suspends you for a whole day. And then you guys come back, and Mr. Siverud goes, in order for you guys to go back to American history class, 10% of you have to say you're sorry. Well, I don't want to bog you guys down in math. If you stink at math, I said numbers, and you're like, oh, that's going on. 10% of 20 is 2. So only 2 of you would have to say you're sorry. And so, whoever walks in and says, Steve, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to shoot you. I really apologize. I'll do better. Someone else walks in and goes, my parents said to say I was sorry, so I'm sorry. Well, then the other 18 of you walk in. Does that mean you feel bad? Does that mean I'm probably getting shot? Well, it is you guys. I'll probably get shot at. So anyway, the oath of loyalty was an important part of his plan. The second part was that he wanted the 4 million slaves freed. Now he did that. He attempted that in 1863 with the Emancipation Proclamation, but that really only freed the slaves in northern territories and northern held territories. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution is what's going to officially abolish slavery in the United States territories. And then last but not least, he wanted something called the Freedmen's Bureau. Now, the Freedmen's Bureau were going to be an agency of people run by the government that was going to provide, it's the next click down, that was going to provide education and protection to needy whites and the freedmen. They were going to attempt to kind of even the playing field in the South a little bit. Now, the interesting thing about that, and students have pointed this out for years, is, well, why is he helping the needy whites? They're white. They don't need the help. The freedmen need the help. Well, first of all, the situation in the South was pretty bad if you were a poor white person. 2, you didn't own land, you didn't get good pay, you know those things. But also, I think it's Lincoln's attempt to try to make everybody happy. Look, yeah, we're doing this for the former slaves, but at the same time, look what we're doing for these white people over here who also need help. And so, from a tactical standpoint, I think that part of Lincoln's plan is really, really smart. Because he's trying to win back some of the southern white population. Sorry, a little parched. Now, obviously, Lincoln's plan is just that. It's a plan. Now, parts of it get taken. The whole 13th Amendment abolishing slavery gets used. But Lincoln's plan obviously dies with him. About 6 days or 6 days a week, it depends on when you officially put the Civil War at an end. About 6 days after the war ends, Lincoln is assassinated. Now, the way the story goes, his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, they hadn't gotten to do much during the Civil War because, there was a war and he was consumed by it. And so Lincoln told his wife, hey, if you want to do something, let's go and do something. So his wife got them contacted Ford's Theater, and there was a big comedy going on called Our American Cousin. And so she secured the balcony box, the box seats that were literally almost right over the stage for the play that night. Well, Lincoln invited Major Henry Rathbone and his wife to come along to the play with them, and that was the plan. Well, unbeknownst to Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth, a Southerner who was a really pretty famous actor in the United States, and another group of conspirators, people that were going along with him to do something, came up with this plot to assassinate a bunch of, or not a bunch, but about 5 or 6 really important Northern government members, Secretary of State, Secretary of War, the Vice President, the President. The idea of putting the country into a state of chaos and possibly restarting the Civil War. Booth, the famous actor, was responsible for Lincoln. And so on the night that Lincoln was killed, Booth rode his horse to the back of the theater. It was held by a stable boy because back then they didn't have cars, and so people rode horses and took carriages. Booth went in through the back of the theater. Some reports say he said hi to some of the actors and wished them luck on the play that night. Booth was a very well-recognized person in the theater industry, so that would have been relatively normal. Some stories have him sneaking in unbeknownst to people. Regardless, Booth got up to the box where Lincoln was. There was no guard at the time. Some people say Lincoln gave the guard the night off. Some people say that Lincoln told the guy to take a break while the play was going on. There's even some reports that the guy was at a bar getting loaded down the street. Regardless, Booth got into the box. When he got into the box, he pulled a Derringer pistol. A Derringer is a very small pistol, and shot Booth shot Lincoln in the back of the head at very close range. Now, Lincoln didn't die right away. Lincoln, it really took until the morning for him to die. A Derringer is a very small caliber bullet. And so, obviously the damage was fatal, but the damage wasn't instantaneous. At that point, Booth in his escape was grabbed by Major Henry Rathbone, and there was a small fight that broke out. Rathbone grabbed Booth. Booth grabbed out a knife and slashed Rathbone in the arm. When he did that, he made his escape down off the balcony box down onto the stage. Now, it's a pretty decent distance. I've never been to Ford's Theater myself, but I've had people tell me, I don't know, maybe it's 15 feet, maybe it's 20 feet. Okay. Regardless, when Booth lands, I'm going to kind of go out of screen here. When Booth lands on the stage, he jumps off the balcony. Rathbone grabs him by the ankle and knocks him off balance. And when Booth lands on the stage, he lands like, I'm going to cock my camera a little bit. He lands like this. Okay. And so if you've ever gotten a rebound in a basketball game and landed on someone's foot, or if you've ever stepped out off a sidewalk and landed on the side of your foot, you sprain your ankle. But from 15 to 20 feet, you break your ankle. And so Booth, upon landing, snap. The crowd is confused because he timed the shot to go along with one of the biggest jokes in the play. Some people think it's part of the play that there's this man jumping down stage. Some people are screaming. Mary Lincoln is screaming in the box. Lincoln is slumped forward. Booth says, "Sic semper tyrannis," and it's like, "And down with tyrants." My Latin is, and he limps across the stage. He gets on his horse and he rides away. He has his broken bones set by a doctor who didn't know who he was. And a few days later, Booth is tracked down in a barn, and the shots are fired in the barn. Some stories say that Booth is shot. Some stories say a lantern is hit and the barn burns down. Booth's body inside. Regardless, Lincoln is dead, and his plan goes with him. Odd side notes to things: the other conspirators were all caught. None of them successfully carried out their assassinations. They were all executed, including the restaurant owner, the restaurant where they met, who was actually a female. And let's see. Oh, Rathbone. Major Rathbone, the guy that was slashed in the arm and grabbed Booth by the ankle, he really found himself personally responsible for things. Years later, he grabbed a knife and slashed his wife a bunch of times, and then tried to stab himself and ended up in a mental asylum. Now, that's really kind of it. The things I want you to take away from today, the big reviews. Know that Lincoln's plan was lenient. Understand the 13th Amendment was designed to abolish slavery, and know what that Freedmen's Bureau was trying to get at. Use the rest of the time to work on the assignment that's due on Friday. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, if you haven't finished Reconstruction Introduction, please do that first. Thanks.